Hello, welcome back to my studio. I've got rather a fun project to share with you today. This is a double trifold folio with a quadrifold brochure on the back, and it's all made from recycled stuff and bits and pieces from my stash, lots of scraps, things like that. Now, a little while ago we had a couple of things in the letterbox from junk mail. One was a flyer. Well, we had two identical ones from a restaurant in town called the Wighton, and they were trifold brochures, and I thought, oh, I could make those into something. And when I was part way through the project, we got another one which was a fourfold brochure from a firm called Checkatrade. And I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to incorporate that as well. But of course I'd got fairly far on, and it meant I had to adapt things a bit in order to include it, because I'd already covered up a lot of places where I could have put magnets and things like that. So it involved a little bit more work. But anyway, this is the result. And on the front cover, a lot of this paper, this paper was letters from the bank that I put a load of mixed media stuff on. Originally the closure was supposed to be with magnets, but I put so much stuff on them the magnets didn't work anymore. But I've got this red leatherette stuff, so I made some little straps and these little toggles that pull out, and then you can pull the strings back and you can open it. Alright, and so this front part is the packaging from some kiwi fruits that I got from the supermarket, and it's got these two windows in it, and you can see there's some hills there and a stone wall there, and just release that. When you pull this tag out, you can see the background paper showing there, you get the whole thing. And this is a Yorkshire village, because the packaging has come from a packet of Yorkshire tea, which has nice pictures of Yorkshire all over it. I thought I'd use that. This is a cluster that I made following Louisa Heinzel's tutorial about these multi-layered clusters with butterflies on them. On the back, I've made this label. A lot of these papers were experimental or failed pieces that I did on the gel plate ages ago. I've got a whole folder full of them. But it's funny how the failures actually come into their own if you start using them in projects, and I'm really quite pleased with how this turned out. Originally this was a little elastic loop to hold this on, but it pulled out at the bottom. And I was thinking, how on earth do I glue that back in again? So I've just looped it round, and that works fine, and it's just got a little bead on it. Looks more finished now. Alright. So, pull those down. Get them out of the way. And when we open the first pot, this is the first trifold folio from the Wighton, and this is some of my parcel tape transfer with magazine pages on it. This was a tag, a spare tag from a project, and I just put some backing on there. This was a label from some handmade soap which was in my stash, and this was some part of a bag, a clothing bag which had flowers printed on it, and I just cut that out. And film strip from Margaret of Seven Plaza. There's a pocket there with a tag, more of the film strip, and some music on the back which I aged. It goes back in like that. And Yeah, this is some more of the bank letter paper that I put stenciling, and there's rust water on there. This is some of my DIY washi tape, which was made from wrapping paper. And this is a little ruffle that I made out of a coffee filter, which is stained with rust. And then this opens up. This is now the whole of the trifold folio open. More of the film strip and some vintage images and so on, and clusters that I've made. And this is some DIY vintage sellotape, which I did with contact paper and alcohol ink. More clusters, more collage. So that's the first folio, and then you open it up again and you get the second trifold folio. More clusters. This is coconut fibre on there, and I cut this circle for the base of this cluster with a large circular punch with scalloped edge on it, and there's more of that later on. Some mesh. And this is a combined pocket and belly band. These papers were done with medication leaflet paper. Before I unfolded it, I punched it with lots of holes and then sprayed it with and used as a stencil. And this is what resulted from putting paper underneath. So this is what stenciled through, if you follow me. That tag comes out. This was the original front of this tag, which was a spare one from another project, and it was very bright orange, so I've dulled it down. And then I really liked what I did on the back. I liked it better than the front, so that's now become the front. And so that goes back there, and then it goes into the pocket at the bottom. And this is a little flip out. That holds this flip up. This little banner flip up closed, so that comes up like so. And you can see the pocket there now with the belly band where the tag goes in and out. And then the second, this is how this opens up. And some time ago my husband gave me a beautiful old Victorian book full of lots of stories and articles, and it was in a very poor state of repair, and it's really only suitable for cutting up and repurposing. So I've put this is one of the pages from that book, and a bit more on there. This is some gift wrap paper which I've distressed, and I deliberately didn't put too much on these pages because this is some vegetable dyed paper which I put lace on there, so you can see the pattern continues, and I wanted to be able to see that, so that's why I did that. And this sticks up above the top like those bits do. Corrugated paper. And this was a picture from a magazine page. It was a picture of an interior, and this was the wallpaper that the picture was sitting on, and or hanging on, and I just did some matting and layering of that, and this was just cut out and stuck down, and some stamping on the back, and this piece here is some sort of leaf, and it was on the front of another project that I did. It was a handmade album that my husband bought for me, and it had a yin and yang symbol on the front, and I wasn't really into that, so I took it off and I made a new embellishment to go on the front of the book. And I used part of this was on the front cover, and I die cut this flower out of it, so this is the negative space that was left, and I put that flower on the cover of the book. So I thought I'd use that, so that shows through. Some more of that medication paper there. So that now shows through the leaf. I've got that little tuck spot where that tag goes in, and that was a negative piece left over from a border die that I did for ages and ages ago for a project, and this has been in my stash for years, and I thought, oh, well, I'll just put that on there. It's quite nice. And I've got some fabric and cheesecloth for added texture. That's the trifold folio, and I put these tabs on, and that's one of my sparkly bead dangles that I put on there. And then when you turn it over, you've got this fourfold brochure which came from Checkatrade. So that is a flip out and a flip up. So if I undo that, this flips up like that. There's some more of that clothing bag with the flowers. I fussy cut that out and stuck it down. There's some of the medication paper which I'd sprayed with gold. That's the actual paper with the holes in it. And I had to put the closure on the inside of that because otherwise this wouldn't open. This was a piece of scratch paper just for cleaning off brushes on. And it makes nice backgrounds. It's really cool. So then that goes back down, and it will be held in place by that little closure. But it's also a flip out, and this is held together with magnets. And I made this into a concertina fold, accordion fold, so that opens right up. And I've created a couple of windows here. This one was the packaging for a lint chocolate Easter bunny, which I'd had in my stash for ages. You can see the printing is visible on there, and I've cut it and remade it so that it fitted on here. And this is this more of this paint scratch paper. I've just stuck some butterflies on there, and these are these cellophane bags that you get lots of cards and different things in. And this was the negative space from a die cut of a tag that I did, and this has been in my stash for ages as well, so I thought I'd use that as a frame. More cheesecloth. This one I wanted to put these moths on here. This was some a gel plate print that I did that went in my failures box because I really it didn't work how I wanted. So I've got this graining tool that you're supposed to use for painting and decorating, and you put a base layer on, and when it's dry you put this glaze on top, and then you run this tool over it and it makes this wood grain pattern. But I did far too much of the rocking of the tool, and you're supposed to have knots, and it didn't look right. So I thought this was just rubbish, but I never throw anything out, and I really like the way this came out as a background in the end. And but when I put the butterflies down, they didn't really show, so I put this is a middle layer of a napkin that I'd taken apart for using the picture on the top layer, and they're 3-ply. So I put that down, and when you glue it down, it gets sort of translucent, so you can still see the pattern through. And this side, this was a spare tag left over from another project, and I put this on the back. And I really like this side better, but it doesn't look quite so nice as part of the whole spread as this, which I think balances the red better, so that goes in there. That's a bit of burlap glued down. And then of course this opens the other way. That's another picture from the antique book. Lots of little bits of digital downloads cut out. That's a bit of rice paper that I fussy cut. That's a nice picture. And the title of that story was How to Get Rid of Trouble, which I thought was rather fun. Now somewhere, I can't find it, I can't remember what I did with it. Where I mentioned about this, I've got the negative space somewhere and I can't find it now. Oh yes, I forgot to mention there's another big pocket here with another tag. This picture and this picture were one picture, and I cut it. So put half on each side. That's from the antique book as well. Oh, there it is, that's right. It's on the underside of this flip out. there's the negative space cut from where I cut that out with the punch, and it just so happens that these whale tail tabs that I made just fit in. So I was really pleased. I trimmed this down so that it just fitted in. So I thought that came out very well. I was very pleased with that. It was quite accidental. So, and then this tag, this has got some stretchy, lacy sort of stuff on with beads. That sticks out at the top as well. And it's quite chunky. You can see it's quite a chunky monkey, this little folio. I'll bring those around to the front again. Pull up the toggles. There you go, and that closes it. Push that down a bit, that's better. Right. And then that just goes around like that. So I think that's just quite fun. And I love just making things out of rubbish and things that people would throw in the bin. And you can make art out of anything. So I hope you've enjoyed this folio. Thanks for watching.